Hey guys, welcome into today's video. This is going to be a brand new series on my channel. It's going to be a foundation a day for 42 days. The reason that I wanted to start this video is that I have 51 foundations in my permanent collection. It's the #2 item, maybe #1 right now, of makeup that I really like testing. I'm really into testing new foundations. It switches back and forth usually between blush, eyeshadow, and foundation, my 3 favorite makeup categories, probably a lot of people's favorite makeup categories. But 51 foundations is just too much for me to have in my collection. I recently did a makeup declutter, and I will link that up in the cards, where I went through my whole collection and I decluttered, breaking some of my makeup into 3 different categories: keep, declutter, and then I made up a third, which was items that I want to keep for reference but I'm going to take out of my permanent collection and move into the closet, where I keep makeup that I think is popular, relevant, things that I may want to reference in future videos but that I don't want to use in my personal everyday life. But I did not do that with foundation. And recently I've gone through a really big skin change. In the last 8 months to a year, I have gone from really dry skin to very oily skin, and a lot of foundations that used to work for me that were more on the dewy natural finish side just aren't working these days. So I'm grabbing and loving more matte foundations. So some of my foundations in my collection predate my skin change. So the reason for this series, I don't want to just declutter foundations based on memory. I want to retest a lot of them because some of them are pretty expensive. Some of them I may re-love, some of them I may not like or may not work for me now, and it's time to make that determination. So while I have 51 foundations in my collection, this is foundation a day for 42 days because there are 9 foundations I have already made a decision on. Some of them I'm actually testing. They haven't gone into speed reviews, but I've worn them very recently, so I know exactly how I feel about them, but I will have to move them into wherever they're going to go, keep, declutter, or in the reference pile. And then there are some that I'm testing that I already absolutely love, haven't gone into a speed reviews, and I know that I'm going to be keeping them. And then 2 of them I have already made the decision that I'm going to declutter. So I want to hop into showing you those 9 foundations now. So the first one that I'm going to keep is the Hourglass Veil Hydrating Skin Tint. I have mine in the shade 4. This product is made in Italy. It has a 12-month shelf life. It retails for $49 and it comes with 1.1 fluid ounces. This is a really new product to me. Hourglass products have not worked for me in the past. This is one of the few that does work. It's kind of a thicker consistency, but it's really light coverage and it's very hydrating. And unlike other Hourglass products that I have used in the past, this one actually sinks into my skin. I think it can look kind of textured on my face if I go in with too much product. So I do like to go in with a single layer. Very minimal product with this, and I feel like that's how it looks best on my face. And I would reach for this on lighter coverage days. I have lighter coverage skin tints in my collection that I do feel perform a little bit better than this, but because it is fairly new and it does work and it's the first Hourglass product that has worked for my complexion, I am going to hold on to this one. The next one that I'm going to hold on to is the MAC Studio Fix Everywhere All Over Face Pen. I have mine in the shade NC15. This is made in Belgium. It has a 24-month shelf life. It retails for $35 and it comes with 0.41 fluid ounces. It's actually marketed as a multi-use concealer pen with medium to full coverage with a natural matte but waterproof finish. It's an interesting pen style. It has a twist on and off at the bottom, and it comes with a very pointed dispenser, and you push the bottom of it to get the product to come out. This is brand new to me. It is still in the testing phases. I have not even put this in a speed review, so I am going to hold on to it. It is a beautiful medium to full coverage foundation. It's a medium weight consistency, but it still works for me. What I find with this is that actually kind of wears off of me after 6 hours. It's not as matte and as long wearing as I would like. This does claim to be, I think, a 36-hour wear. I would say I get a maximum of 6 before my oils really start peeking through. So while I like its natural matte finish, I feel like it's just not overly long wearing on me. But because it's brand new and it's going into a speed reviews, it also gets to stay. The next one that I'm going to keep is also because it's new. It's the Fenty Eavesdrop Blur and Smooth Skin Stick. I have mine in the shade 2. This is made in Italy. It has a 12-month shelf life. It retails for $35 and it comes with 0.32 ounces. It is marketed as having light coverage but long wearing. It's supposed to offer smooth texture, blurs, and have a natural finish. I would say that this is the most hydrating skin stick or foundation stick that I have ever used, but it still makes my skin look very textured. I think it's best for me with a very light layer. Otherwise, there's no blurring happening. In fact, my skin looks overly textured. So because this hasn't gone into a speed reviews yet, it is going to stay in my collection, but I feel like at some point it's going to move out for one reason or another. The next one that is staying is the Gucci Internite Debutée 24-hour wear breathable foundation. I have mine in the shade 160N Fair. This is made in Korea. It has a 12-month shelf life. It retails for $69 at Sephora. It does come with 1 fluid ounce. It's supposed to be a 24-hour foundation with a luminous matte finish. It's full coverage. It says it's supposed to be full coverage in 1 drop. This, like a lot of other luxury beauty products, does have a floral scent, but even though it's full coverage, it does have a luminous matte finish. It is still a really runny formula for being such a high coverage foundation. It is new to me, but it is one of my favorites currently. I am loving this, so this is definitely going to stay with me. The next one that gets to stay is the YSL All Hours Foundation. I have mine in the shade LN1. It is made in France. It has a 12-month shelf life. It retails for $60. It comes with 0.84 fluid ounces. It does have an SPF of 30. It's marketed as having a 24-hour weightless full coverage luminous matte finish. The 4th ingredient in this foundation is alcohol, so if that bothers you guys, you probably would not like it. It's a new foundation to me, but also I am loving this one just like the Gucci one. I think it's a long wear matte finish foundation. It doesn't last as long as the Gucci, but it is still really, really good. One of my brand new favorites. Oh, and this does have a pretty perfumey scent to it as well. The next one that gets to stay is also new to me. It's the Prada Reveal Foundation. I have mine in the shade LN15. It is made in France. It has a 12-month shelf life. It comes with 1 fluid ounce. It retails for $43 on Selfridges. However, I did pick mine up on the Harrods website. Again, the 3rd ingredient in this is alcohol, and it does come with a fragrance to it. This is a refillable plastic component. The inside is a glass canister. It's a very, very lightweight serum-like foundation that offers medium buildable to full coverage. It's pretty much the same as the other two that I'm really loving, which is a luminous matte finish that is super long wearing and looks super beautiful and smoothing on my skin. So this gets to stay because it's new to me. I have tested it recently and loving it. The next one that gets to stay is the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. I have mine in the shade 1.5N. This is the old version before they reformulated. This is the satin finish. I absolutely love it. You can't get it anymore, so I am not incorporating it into the 42 days of foundation, but I will test the reformulation at some point. I love this. It's very, very lightweight, serum-like, but it's medium coverage with a satin finish that basically lasts me all day. So I'm really sad that they reformulated. We will test the reformulation again in this series, but for now, because you can't get this anymore, I feel like there's no reason for me to retest it. The next and final two are not foundations that are going to be included in the 42 days of testing foundation, because today I decided they will be decluttered. So the first one is the Sephora Best Skin Ever Foundation. I have mine in the shade 17.5N. This is made in France. It retails for $20. It has a 12-month shelf life. It comes with 0.84 fluid ounces. It's described as having a medium natural finish, but hydrating for up to 12 hours. This is my most used foundation. There's about half left, and originally I put this into a project pan. However, I used it after I pulled it out from my project pan, and it lasted on me for about 4 hours before it completely faded. So I know that my skin change has caused this foundation to not work for me as well as it used to. It's more of a whipped consistency, and so it's a little bit thicker and heavier. It was medium to full coverage while still being super hydrating on my really, really dry skin. I loved this foundation because it was maybe a more full coverage foundation that worked for my really dry skin, and now that my skin has changed, I noticed this doesn't work as well for me. So I'm not going to keep it in my project pan. I would rather pull one into my project pan that works better for me now and just declutter this finally. I'm sorry to let it go with half the product left, but I would rather get use out of some of the ones that I'm loving. And then the final one that will be decluttered is the Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue Foundation. This is with an SPF of 45. I have mine in the shade 1N2 Ecru. This is made in Canada. It retails for $51. I cannot find the shelf life listed anywhere. This does come with 1.2 fluid ounces. It's described as a breathable, radiant finish with medium coverage. The reason this has to go is because it's such a high SPF, and I've had it in my collection for so long, and looking in the tube, I can tell that the product is separating, and when it has SPF in it, you really do want to follow the shelf life. I've definitely had this more than 12 months, which is usually what I would keep or try and keep something with an SPF. So this does have to go. This is an extremely lightweight, super serum-like, but medium coverage, great SPF, super natural radiant finish. It just works so well on your skin, and I feel like it would work for many different skin types. It was great for me on my dry days. This has even been a good SPF for me, even more oily. It's so beautiful. I am gonna declutter this and throw it away because it's on the old side, but I'm probably going to repurchase this. Welcome in for day 2. I hope you guys enjoyed the intro. Today we're gonna be doing the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation. This one is a little bit older to my collection, and it does only have a shelf life of 9 months. So I do really need to make a decision as to whether or not this is something that I want to keep around or repurchase, or it's just time to let it go completely because it is nearing its expiry date. Let's talk a little bit about this foundation. This retails for $24. It comes in 35 shades. I have mine in the shade LN6. I told you guys it does have a shelf life of 9 months. It is made in Canada. So far as I know, this only is sold on the LYS website and then at Sephora. It does have hyaluronic acid. It claims to be skincare infused serum foundation that's good for uneven texture, and that it's light to medium buildable coverage. This also did win Allure Best of Beauty for 2021. The Triple Fix concealer from LYS is one of my absolute favorites. It's one of my holy grails. It took me a while to fall in love with that concealer, but I bought a backup of it. I love it so much. It works really well because it's a very thin texture. I don't think the foundation is as serum-like or as thin as the concealer is, but it's pretty lightweight. What I remember about this foundation is that it was very skin-like, but very light medium coverage. I really don't remember much else about it, so that's why we're doing this one next, because it's one of my older foundations in my collection. I will note that at some point this broke. Like the little tabs on the inside, they're just plastic, they snapped, and so this no longer, like, it stays, but it doesn't click or anything like that. I have had the worst luck with LYS packaging. It's been some of my least favorite. The concealer is the one where it's really hard to get the doe foot applicator back in. The mascara, couldn't even use the mascara regardless of formula because the packaging was triangular shaped, very difficult to hold when you're kind of like twisting the mascara like this to apply it to your lashes. Their bronzer completely broke on me, so this doesn't surprise me. All of my LYS packaging is pretty bad, just in general. The way that I like to apply this is I'm gonna use one side with a clean brush and the other side with a clean sponge. We do a check-in before I finish up the rest of my makeup. We do a check-in after I apply all of my makeup, because it usually takes me an additional 20 minutes to finish talking and then go finish my makeup. And then I'm gonna do a check-in with you guys in natural daylight, usually right after I apply the foundation, and then natural daylight again right at the 4-hour mark. And then we come and sit down at the end of, at the very least, 8-hour wear test to see how it held up. I told you guys, I just cannot remember what I feel about this foundation. I don't even remember how it wears. And I almost feel like the last time I tried this is when my skin was much drier. And so foundations now tend to last on me a lot less time. So let's get into applying this. I'm probably gonna use about that much on this side. This kind of looks thicker, like not super serum-like. I remember this being a lighter formula. All right, we'll start there. See what kind of coverage this gives us. I can already see it's more natural, like radiant finish. But man, that looks super skin-like. I'm gonna pick up what is left on the back of my hand. I would say that's almost a full pump, but it was more than half. This is very, very light coverage. I almost feel like because it's so glowy like this and very natural and very radiant, that this is how you'd wanna wear it. It's not typically what I would do. I'm definitely into more full coverage foundations lately, more mattifying foundations, not something this radiant. I was expecting it just now to be a lot more tacky of a formula. It's actually not very tacky. It's such light coverage, but it's beautiful. It's almost like evens out your skin tone. It looks super, super natural. All right, let's go in to the sponge side. It's almost like it's more coverage with the sponge because these e.l.f. Total Face Sponges, they actually don't soak up a ton of product. I usually get a lot more coverage out of these than say like a dampened Real Technique sponge or something like that. So I feel like I'm getting more coverage. Like I didn't even use the whole thing and I almost feel like this is more medium than this side was with the brush. I also picked up maybe a little bit less on the left side than the right side. And the sponge soaked up some of what I feel like is like the natural radiance of this foundation. I'm getting more glow from the left side. I don't know, it's just kind of a weird dynamic. It's surprisingly beautiful. And when it says that it's good for uneven texture, I don't know if you guys can see, but it looks like it's smoothed out my skin. There's nothing heavy about it. I'm telling you, it's very, very skin-like. And it almost looks like, yeah, that it's just buffed my skin out. Like all the unevenness and texture looks a lot smoother. It's quite a beautiful foundation, honestly, so I'm a little surprised. I haven't reached for this in so long. And my only concern is that with my pretty oily skin, that this is gonna last me about 4 hours and it's gonna look completely gone. And without the added benefit of an SPF, it's usually not something I reach for. But the goal is that I decide whether or not this gets to stay in my permanent collection, totally gets decluttered because it just doesn't work for me, or the third category being it goes into my makeup closet for reference in case I ever want to do like a full face of LYS or I want to reference the formula or something like that. So that is the goal of today's video. Let me go finish the rest of my makeup and we'll come back and we'll do one final check-in. Okay, we're back. I have not seen my skin look this smooth and I can't tell you how long. I literally look like, or I feel that I look like I just had some sort of facial peel. Like my skin looks so smooth, you guys. There's a lot of claims that foundations have. Some of them don't come anywhere near the experience that I get. But when this said, good for uneven texture, boy, did they mean it. I mean, really, like, doesn't it look really, really smooth? I'm through the moon so far. And honestly, this coverage, like after powdering and the powder gave me a little additional coverage, I feel like this is so beautiful and skin-like that there's a real purpose for this foundation. I'm just super shocked that this is how I'm feeling about it. And you forget sometimes, like, unless one absolutely stands out to you, especially if you have so many and you test so many, you forget how some of them perform. So I'm through the moon at this particular point. So I'm done, you guys. I'm definitely interested to see how this wears. So I'm gonna quit for now. I'm gonna go do a check-in in natural light. I will do what I told you guys, do another 4-hour check-in in natural light, and then we'll come back at the very end, usually at the end of the evening. It's a little bit earlier in the morning now, so I like to give it at least 8 hours. Sometimes I go a little bit farther. This does not claim to go full day wear, but I'm definitely interested to see how this looks, whether it's gonna be a short-lived foundation that makes me look super good for 4 hours and that's all I get out of it or not. So I will see you guys back here when it is much darker. Welcome back. It's been a really long day for me. It is 9:18, so I've had this on for, I don't know, 11 hours at this point. Let me scoot over. I did a check-in in natural light right away, and then I actually did a check-in in natural light at around 5 o'clock. So at that point, I had been wearing it for, I want to say just a little over 6 hours. And surprisingly, at like the 6-hour mark, it was still holding up really nicely. And then I kept checking the foundation as the day went on. I put myself through the ringer. I was definitely outside. It started to rain. At one point I was outside, so I got rained on. It's really humid right now, still in September. If you guys can see my forehead, I'm shining to the gods. It's mostly come off of like my forehead and my nose, but there's something about it. Even though it's not like this matte, super long lasting kind of photo ready foundation, and this is me totally not touched up at all. I just like the way that it faded off of my skin, if that makes sense. Like here I am at the end of the night and I still feel like it looks halfway decent. Overall, I think that right now, because this is only day number 2 of foundation a day for 42 days, I feel like I'm definitely gonna hold on to this one. Unless there is a foundation that comes along that performs very similarly with this really natural finish, very smoothing-like feature about it, I'm gonna keep this one. I do think it's beautiful. There's always a place in my collection for foundations that are not overly matte or don't last on my face all day. But like I said, if it does get beat out with with a more natural looking, short-lived foundation, I may declutter it. It really just depends. I should only really keep a handful of foundations that have the more natural kind of radiant finish because I'm so darn oily. But right now, the effect of just like really smoothing my skin and how it fades super evenly, that part about it I'm really liking. So I think if you have dry skin or just texture in general, then I would recommend this foundation for you. That is it. That is my full video, you guys. This is day 2, another foundation that gets to stay in my collection. Only day 2, I have kept both of them, so I have decluttered nothing. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you're not a current subscriber, I hope you guys consider subscribing and stick around for days 3 through 42. I'm out of here, you guys, and I hope to catch you all in the next one.